What is going on, everybody? This is the PWZ podcast. I am Rick Del Santo, and joining me, as always, on this glorious Sunday into Monday episode is Showtime, Marcel Williams. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How you doing, my man?
Great. It's been a big week for professional wrestling. Big week in general.
It's every week.
Every week
There's news.
It seems like we thought last week was an action-packed episode, but this is an even bigger episode. The WWE draft. There's been an MLW title change. United Wrestling Network title has finally been crowned, or champion has finally been crowned, and so much more in professional wrestling that we're going to be talking about. And we're going to be talking about some great comments that fans have made in our inbox. What's been going on in the world of Marcel Williams for this week?
Just life, my man. Just watching every content possible, and then getting ready for this Friday. You got Don't Waste My Whiskey. I think it's a Big Jim show. Don't spill the whiskey. Yep. Correction. Don't spill the whiskey.
It's important.
It's important. It's big tribute to Big Jim Anderson. And you got PAPW, Test of Strength, Shut Up and Wrestle, New World Wrestling Extreme, all together in one night under one roof, putting on a great product for Big Jim Anderson, and all the proceeds go to the family of Big Jim Anderson. And
That's
then we got, man, it's gonna be a big show. And then we got the Taco Fest. PAPW does do Taco Fest up in Hartford and Maine, debut in Maine. And then obviously the 10/16 Elm City Showdown, which is going to be JCC.
That's about 2 weeks. That's only 2 weeks away. Wow.
2 weeks away. We already got the announcement already. You remember the big announcement?
The main event, correct?
Yes.
And Matthias defending against the title against Kylon King, the Intercontinental Champion. Kylon is really excited about that match, according to his social media, and I think it's going to be a banger. It's going to be a great match. Absolutely. That is a wise choice on the on Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling to put those two together. I think the fans are really going to dig it.
Yeah, it's going to be a big night for PAPW, but we will continue with the world of wrestling news.
Oh, my God. Do we ever have to? We have a lot to talk about this week. Let me just start off with something small to get into. The United Wrestling Network has crowned their very first world champion after years and years of trying. There's always been some sort of mishap as to why they couldn't. They finally held a tournament last year in 2020 during, I believe it was their show Primetime Live that they were doing, which was like a pay-per-view series on Fight TV, which it was combining the efforts of the various United Wrestling Network television programs and the NWA. I don't think they're associated with the National Wrestling Alliance anymore, but making it to the finals were Dirty Chris Dickerson and Mike Bennett, and Dickinson, has won that title, and they finally held that event this past Saturday. I watched it this morning, and it was a really good show. I got to tell you, the Primetime Live Supercard. So good congratulations, Dickinson, and congratulations to the United Wrestling Network for finally crowning the world champion that they've been trying to crown for the last few years. It seems like there was always some mishap, and they weren't allowed to.
He's been around the Northeast area, so he's very known around this area. So congratulations to him on a big title win for the United Network.
Yeah. Not to mention, I didn't watch all of Fightland. I watched kind of a bit of it, but Yoshihiro Tajiri has been crowned the new middleweight champion in Major League Wrestling, MLW. That's going to air on next week's MLW Fusion TV. So keep an eye out for that. That's going to be pretty awesome right there. That Yoshihiro Tajiri at this day and age is still killing it and taking titles.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
It was a big night at the formerly known ECW Arena. So, they got more tapings coming up, which I think is going on tonight, I think it was. But I think they had a weekend of tapings, yeah. Fightland was a big event for them. I know they've been moving around with the pandemic and stuff. I think this event is supposed to have been in Texas. Was it supposed to be in Texas?
I think you are correct on that. I know they were supposed to do a show in Texas. That sounds familiar. They suffered pretty heavily during the pandemic because they didn't have they stopped running shows altogether for a very long time, but they were able to continue with a lot of online content before being able to return to live shows, and then they were kind of recycling some of the shows from the earlier 2000s, which was a different product back then. It was still enjoyable. It was kind of like a post ECW style wrestling. So I have some of those DVDs.
A rebrand.
Yeah, kind of. Like after ECW had closed, they used a lot of their talent, and the presentation was very much the same as well, except for the storylines weren't necessarily as trashy, I guess, so to speak, for lack of a better term. So, what did we see on Monday Night Raw, Marcel Williams?
Oh man, we seen a lot of WWE Championship matches going on. I mean, we have at first they opened it with the Lashley versus Big E confrontation in the match, and it was a good match until it segued to the reintroduction of the Hurt Business, which was broken up for no reason, but they was back together again out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and it's set up for a cage match later on in the third hour with Big E and Lashley in a very good cage match.
Yeah.
But Raw was actually good. I gotta give it a Raw. Even though they do a lot of rematches, we'll talk about SmackDown in a minute, but it was kind of good.
Because the draft happened. That's the big thing, for this week.
The draft.
The draft, yes. In their version of freshening things up, it's just for 1 year they have the same matches over and over, so then they're going to just switch things around. For another year, just going to have the same matches just with different people over and over, and then the following year it's going to happen again. So
we'll see the we'll probably see the wild card in like 3 weeks, where do the wild card where people switch over.
Oh, we're gonna do with that crap again. Yeah, like the guy that just keeps going back and forth because they don't know where they are or whatever. Yeah. That's one of the things I gotta say is like pretty stale about the brand. The WWE brand. It's like they do these things like that and they're just a little bit too predictable. So
yeah.
So yeah, how else was Raw?
Raw was good. I mean, just those two things that I followed up. I know they trying to refreshen up Doudrop and a few other little cast and characters, but the big thing was Big E versus Lashley, which they keep on pushing Big E, making them look good. So he's setting up for next challengers, hopefully, because Lashley got beat like almost 3 times, so there's no sense him being a title contender. But as you've seen, Drew McIntyre was about to challenge Big E, but we're going to talk about that later. That may not even happen.
About that later. Yeah, that might not happen. This is one of the things that, oh crap, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, this is the first time in probably months that I've heard somebody say, and it's not just you, I've heard him, Salamonster, I've heard say this on his program this week, and I think Brian Alvarez might have said it as well, that Raw was better this week for the first time. SmackDown was the worst show this week, which I have to say it's kind of confusing in a way because I was kind of used to SmackDown being the better show for a little while.
Well, once we segue to SmackDown, I'll tell you why it was bad. But yeah, it's because our famous the elephant in the room, the draft.
The draft. That's possibly one of the worst segments every year that I don't look forward to. So, you want to get into the draft? I got the whole thing, the list in front of me.
Yes, sir. Why don't we?
All right. So that's the most important part of I guess, out of the WWE this week. I don't think we're going to discuss NXT because there's not really much to talk about other than they're building up Braun Breaker. So that's what I have to say about that. And I don't mind that. I think that's a good thing.
But there is some NXT stuff that's involved in this SmackDown thing because they made a draft pick that surprised everyone.
NXT is involved in the draft. So this is the weird part, okay? Superstars can go from Raw to SmackDown, SmackDown to Raw, NXT to Raw, NXT to SmackDown, but none of the guys from Raw or SmackDown ever get drafted back to NXT.
And that's been going on forever.
Yes. Isn't that a little bit bizarre? I mean,
that is.
And not to mention that, wouldn't it freshen up the NXT brand a little bit? Even though they claim to have refreshened it, but obviously for the last 3-4 weeks that we've been discussing it, it's been the weaker show out of the three. The whole change has just not been very entertaining.
And the ratings keep on being on decline every week. You
Yeah.
know, it's just
They're gonna- Do you
it's
think
not
they're
what
going to
USA
realize
paid
that?
for.
That's true.
Trust me, that they realize it. It just goes back to what USA paid for. They paid for NXT that we was watching 5 years ago. So basically now, all they got is new faces. The only faces on there is Tommaso Ciampa, and you can speak on the Johnny Gargano segment that nobody liked. And then and I heard this on another podcast. I listen to so many podcasts anyway. All the mainstays for NXT look like strangers on that show now. Shirai, Shirai, all these people. They like miscast now. So basically, I mean, it's just a new show, and it's under Bruce Pitcher and Vince McMahon fingerprints. So that's what it was. Now it's meant to just make new stars. That's all it's meant for.
Yeah, well, it's not going to work, I don't think, or at least unless they do something major, because like right now it's not working. And it's sometimes it takes a little while, but if they keep up with this format, and not for nothing, NXT had its following. You know what I mean? There were people that they don't watch Raw or SmackDown, but they'll watch NXT. You know what I mean? Because that's something that they really enjoy, because it's different. It was like watching, Ring of Honor and Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, like super shows in a way. You know what I mean? It's like it was the crowd. It was like a mainstream way of watching, those groups together in a way. Absolutely. So a lot of the talent would end up there. So the segment that I really despise, I'm going to tell you, I got about a half hour into it. Before I shut it off, I'm trying to remember what was the name of that group again that you
Hit Row?
The one that got Hit Row? That was it. All right, I don't have that. Okay. So I think that they were in it, and I was kind of annoyed with that little segment. I think that was the opening segment, if I'm correct, right?
Well, if you know, and I know you're about to speak on it, if you know the structure of the show now, you notice that when somebody come out for the opening segment now, they go through the rundown of the whole show now. Because last week they did the same thing with Tommaso Ciampa with everybody in the ring, including Carmelo Hayes, and they went down the whole rundown of what's going on NXT 2.0. So now I feel like every show is going to be that way, where they do a promo of the rundown what's going to go on for the 2 hours.
And that's where us, the viewers at home, are going to find out what the hell's going on that week.
Yes.
So that one I was kind of a little bit discouraged by, because it was not a very entertaining segment for me. I was not, But at the same time, there was the segment with Johnny Gargano, Dexter Lumis, and help me with the name here, with the lady.
I forgot.
You too. Okay. So I'm going to tell you where Johnny Gargano's walking around, and I think they were at the hotel, and he's like, "Oh, I need to get into this room. I forgot my keys," pretending that. So he's hunting through, going through the room and all this stuff, and he hears them coming in, Dexter and his lady. So he hides in this room. I said to myself, this is the most wretched of wretched segments. This is horrific. And then Johnny Gargano walks out, and he notices Dexter Lumis is awake, and they both give each other a thumbs up with a goofy smile on Johnny Gargano's face. I literally just shut the shit off. I never turned it back on. I had no interest whatsoever and turning it back on. I was like, this is not the NXT that I'm used to. So
that was it. That was it for you.
Yeah, I couldn't even, and I kept thinking about, other than, I ended up seeing the Braun Breaker promo online because they uploaded to Instagram or something. So, outside of that, it's very disappointing when they change something that had such a great formula, and then they turn it to this, trying to entertain the masses or be a developmental, and it ends up just being a shit show. That's all it is right now.
It's what I've been saying the whole time since we've been doing this podcast. It's the WWE way. If it's not under a fingerprint of one man, he wants to change it and make it his own. And the NXT that we all love to enjoy, we was enjoying it, and it was just a different world for him. So, and especially when they wasn't pulling no weight against AEW, which they did for a cup of coffee. But the thing is, I mean, it's just crazy, man.
AEW is new. It's fresh, even though it's only 2 years old. NXT's been around longer than 3 years. You know, it's been around for quite some time. It was on the network for a number of years. It started as like a game show, you know, but then I think it was a Hulu exclusive once it became like a actual wrestling show.
Absolutely.
So, you know, it was a very entertaining show. It's been around a long time, and AEW is something fresh and different. They're bringing in different guys. Like, you know, they signed basically every big name in the independent circuit, so to speak, and international talent. So it was something fresh for all these guys to be on national television, and you know, and so it was kind of relieving in a way, and it was kind of that's what made it enjoyable, and that's what makes everybody tune in. Not to mention the quality of the matches. I mean, you know, it's different in NXT. For some reason, on that WWE brand, WWE made that decision to go up against AEW when they knew that they were going up against it. They said, "Oh well, guess what? We're putting NXT on Wednesday nights as well, 8:00. We're adding a second hour."
But the thing is, you gotta look at it too. You got and this was, I heard Jim Cornette say this when AEW first debuted against NXT. You gotta look at the logistics of it. Mm-hmm. You had NXT on the USA Network at 8:00, and they was in a Full Sail University place. Mm-hmm. But then you turn on AEW, it was in I liked it too. But the thing is, if you turn on AEW, their first debut show, they was at the Capital One Arena in Washington DC.
Was that like 15,000 fans, 20,000 fans, something like that?
Yeah, like 16,000 fans. So you turn on TV, which one you going to watch? You go watch the one with the 16,000 fans. So you gotta understand. So they never wanted to go on the road and take that chance to go to those small buildings like they did before, because they was doing it before AEW was in business. They did it at the San Jose. They did it at all these other places. And, you know, maybe if they would have sat here and went into another direction of going out on a road like AEW did, maybe it probably would have been a better outcome. But me looking at it, I couldn't get into it because certain environment like that, where it was Full Sail University, I was like in the hour format in that building. At least you could enjoy that because you knew it was like a weekly TV hour in that building itself, and then TakeOver was the big deal. It was in a bigger building. So, you know, like, maybe
you got like 2 or 3 matches in that hour, and they were longer matches. They were more intense because they only had an hour. You know what I mean? They didn't sit there and just drag them out in a way, but it was a better show for that hour. And I didn't think that adding a second hour was a bad thing, because I was just like, that's awesome. It's a really good thing. Mm-hmm. We're going to get good 2-hour shows for every week. And then it turned into...
And then you get to push more characters as well.
Exactly. Because they had some really great characters there. But then they turned, you know, when they were going to USA, I said, this is going to be the death of NXT. You know what I mean? It's pretty much, you know, it's only a matter of time, because they're going to have to answer to advertisers. And you know, things are just not going to click with the mainstream audience that are going over to the WWE Network to watch that every Wednesday.
Absolutely.
Not everybody that watches WWE is a professional wrestling fan. They like the WWE.
The people that was watching NXT that loved it was on a network, and those are the style fans that had a network. I had a network when it first started.
Me too. Well, I wasn't always watching wrestling. You know, I stopped for about 2 years. Only 2. So WWE Network had launched in that meantime, but then I ended up probably subscribing like a year after. And I mean, when I opened up the network for the first time, I got to watch old World Championship Wrestling episodes, Mid-Atlantic episodes. And, you know, it was amazing for me, all stuff I grew up on. There was some stuff I thought that I know that these guys have in their archives, that why are they not digitizing them? So
yes,
and I'm still wondering why there's some stuff in their archives that they own that they're not putting up there. We're getting a little
oh,
love
it's
here.
coming. It takes
Yeah.
time. If Peacock let them put it up, you know.
I want to be alive when this stuff happens. That's someone they still own, and they've owned this shit for like 20 years. The Southwest Championship Wrestling Archives. They bought that from, the Blanchards, however many years ago. I mean, we haven't seen any of that stuff uploaded, and they've owned that forever.
I'm still waiting for the wrestling challenges to come out. They only
Yeah.
got 1986 and 87.
I mean, that's like the debut year is 86, I think. So that's not like really that bad because it's like kind of awesome on there, and you get to see Mario on there quite a bit. So that's always the best part. So, but not but the other one is like I'd like to see up until like 1989, 1990, 91, because those are like good years of all like
good years,
challenges. But they don't even have any of the. Apparently, there's reasons why they only have superstars from a certain period because the show used to be called Superstars of Wrestling. So I guess there's some sort of lawsuit with the name Superstars of Wrestling.
Yep.
And that's the reason. Like, so why aren't they like? I'd love to see the just rebrand, not rebrand it, but and obviously going on the Peacock, they're going to have to rebrand it somehow, like they do with everything. So it's like. I'd love to get those 86, 87, 88 episodes of Super, especially 88. That's when like a really
dude. I mean, I'm still waiting for the Superstars. I think it was the Superstars in 1990. I think it was 94, where Brett versus Bob Backlund, the first meeting. I'm still waiting for that to pop up, and we almost there. Awesome. Yeah, I'm waiting for those to pop up now. So it's going to take a while for them. They just got to go through all the content again, which is crazy. But you're right. We still waiting for the old Superstars of Wrestling, which was so good because that was stuff that they took and put on Primetime Wrestling. So we could
they would pick. And that's the other thing is the network they skipped like the first however many episodes of Primetime Wrestling because the original was Jesse Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon. But they started with Bobby and Gorilla Monsoon on the network.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so there's like almost like a year's worth, maybe not a year's worth, but give or take a few months. You know what I mean?
Matter of fact, yeah, I know when the network first launched, they did have the Jesse Ventura Monsoon one. Yeah, they did. And then because I remember I was looking at it, and I was like, I never knew it was Jesse Ventura and him started
Bobby,
first.
Bobby and Gorilla forever. Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought it was them, and then all of a sudden I seen Jesse Ventura. I was like, really? He did Primetime Wrestling? I didn't know he did Primetime Wrestling. Yeah, you're right.
The other ones is like the later period of Primetime where like they would cut it off at like 1989, but it was like scarce, like certain episodes only. Which I'm like, why? And then it's just like, and then they would just like upload one episode of 1991, 3 episodes of 92, like depending on what was actually involved in that episode. But I'm like, upload the full years at a time. I want, especially the later periods. You know what I mean?
They just put up the one where I don't know if you remember when they used to try to do like the Saturday Night Live one, like later on, like 92 when Flair
the later
came on.
period ones. Yeah, they had the
just studio setting.
Yep. Yeah, because that's when I think like Vince's outfits used to come out in those really obscure like sweatsuit outfits, like those really early 90s looking. They had like tiger. Yeah. They were hilarious looking, and but they had, it was like a variety show, and then they showed like matches in between all the goofy stuff they did. I think one of the episodes had Bobby Heenan squashing grapes, like making wine with his feet. Something.
Yep, I remember that one.
So you remember that one? That's like one of the most famous ones, I think. So I'd really like to see the Primetime. Like, especially I used to like when they would like do Primetime episodes, and then they would show like some of the highlights from like Superstars. They would show like a couple matches from Superstars Challenge. Then they would have like exclusive
Garden secret gems.
Yeah, exactly. Like just little clips, or not like full matches from like the arenas and stuff like that, which I always thought was like very cool. I like that a lot. So that was like the Primetime was my favorite show back in the day.
Yeah, yep.
So let's get to the draft. Kind of way off subject.
I'm sure the fans like us talking about the retro stuff. We know retro.
Because we definitely get back into it, but one of the things is I definitely do want to talk about the draft. So And then,
absolutely.
and then a comment from the fan. So round one, Raw. Biggie is staying with Raw, and Roman Reigns is staying with SmackDown. I think that makes the most sense right now.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, unless they will switch, you got to think about the color of the belts. Roman Reigns had the
It's that
universal.
last year they changed them up. They,
Yeah, they
and then
just gave them away like it was candy. They would sit there like, here, you just switch.
That would happen with the tag titles because they switched the tag team titles. They're like, oh, I think it was a Street Profits and the New Day, Xavier.
Yeah.
And I said, well, here, seeing that you're on SmackDown, take these belts. And I was just like, that's not how it works.
That's not exactly.
That's not like there's no story, whatever. But then again, as you said earlier, that's just WWE. It's just
WWE.
stuff that needs to make sense in WWE land, apparently. So.
And then you got Big E was obviously who's going to be a keeper because he just won that championship. So now we got to see who he's going to run with against now, which we'll talk about in a few because we thought he's going to run with somebody, but now he just got drafted to SmackDown. Yeah,
but he's also got a match coming up at the show in Saudi Arabia.
Crown Jewel.
I'm trying to remember how it's against, though, of course. But anyways, also in round one, Bianca Belair got drafted to Raw.
That was a shocker for me.
That was a shocker because I really wanted to see her finish her storyline with Becky Lynch in a way, and meet her again because I think that Becky Lynch still deserves an ass whooping. So from Bianca Belair, so yeah.
It's probably coming because we ended up getting another draft pick that went to SmackDown as well. That was a surprise too.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's still early. I mean, everything is going to finish on Monday. So I will actually watch on Monday. That's the other thing. Or maybe I'll watch Tuesday morning. But I'm actually going to watch Raw because I'm interested. I'm trying to take as many notes as I can. Charlotte Flair went to SmackDown.
Yes, she did.
That one kind of surprised me in a bit.
Now we got the Raw Championship, the Raw Women's Championship on SmackDown now. So now we got two women champions on the show.
So there's a good chance on Monday that Becky Lynch might go to SmackDown or Raw. Excuse me. There's a good chance.
Which is so crazy because she was on Raw in the first place.
Yeah, but when she came back, she beat Bianca for the SmackDown title, which technically it made no sense. I mean,
yes, it did.
So I don't know. But she makes up her own rules, I guess. Because she's the man. She makes up her own rules. That's how it goes. In round two, now a tag team could be counted as one person, but they could also be split up.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, RK Bro, Randy Orton, and Matt Riddle are staying on Raw, drafted to Raw. Is it counted that they're drafted to Raw if they're already on the brand? That's the other thing. Does it count?
It does count. Because, I mean, they basically, I guess everybody's a free agent, basically. I think everybody's free agent on the day of the draft, I guess.
They're all WWE employees, so whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So, of course, as we were just mentioning, this gentleman got transferred, drafted to SmackDown. He's not going to be in the title picture. Transferred, whatever. Drew McIntyre basically is like, hey, you're going to SmackDown. Here's the transfer papers.
Yeah. Drew McIntyre is going to SmackDown, so that means new challengers for Roman Reigns besides Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, so he's out of the WWE title picture, but he's going to be in the Universal title picture. I'm not a fan of the Universal Championship to begin with, but it is what it is.
I wasn't a fan of the name, but I was a fan of the match that they had last year, Survivor Series. It was real good.
Yeah, it was good. So, I mean, there is a chance that, I don't know, I don't think that Drew McIntyre is going to be the one to defeat Roman Reigns. I'm still trying to think, like, who the hell is that person? But
nobody.
Nobody? He's just going to give it up?
I think, I think Roman's going to hold that championship for a hot minute, for a while, until we figure out who's really going to be the guy to really take it.
I mean, whether he anybody on the roster.
I don't see nobody. I mean, even when you feud with Rock, he's going to beat The Rock. Because why would you put the title back on The Rock? Because, it's just like...
He's a part-timer, but, he comes back every 5 years or so. But guess what? He won that last time he came in there, didn't he? Not the last time. Was it the last time? He won it. He feuded with CM Punk, right? Which I thought was completely ridiculous. But it's one of those things where it really got WWE some attention because they were really kind of struggling at that time period. This is before the second or this current wrestling boom. So it's kind of much needed.
That's when he was taking. That's when he was taking championships to like the movie premieres and stuff, just so they get publicity.
Yeah. All right. So also Edge to Raw. This one really doesn't. Was it really?
Yeah, because he was still feuding with Seth Rollins, but I mean, and he's a SmackDown guy. I always thought him to be a SmackDown guy anyway.
You might be right, but honestly, he's one of those guys that just shows up wherever. You know what I mean? Because he's not. Would you consider him a full timer? I mean, at this point in his career, I mean, because he just showed up and left, and I mean,
yeah,
not left, he keeps getting injured, so
yeah,
he
got injured. He got injured, and he came back with the Rumble, and he's considered a part timer.
Yeah,
I mean, he still do the house shows. I don't know if he still do the house shows or not.
Well, there hasn't been any house shows yet. They canceled. They got rid of their live event department. Last year?
Yeah,
they closed the whole. They fired everybody. But according to some news source I read recently, they're looking to start doing house shows again, or as WWE calls them, live events. So, so I'm wondering, like, are they going to be hiring people again?
Probably. Maybe. I don't know. I know they did like a little like few house shows and like one house show in between. Like they did a few that was non-televised. But they're not doing a lot like they used to no more. They're doing like probably like one every week.
They used to do like 4 a week or something like that. You know what I mean? And then they would do Raw and SmackDown. Like each brand had a freaking house show, basically. Raw and SmackDown. Yeah.
Almost every day.
That's insane. I always preferred house shows over live TV because anytime I went to
happens.
Yes, you'd. And the funny part is when I talked to Mario Mancini on the podcast, about a month ago, he even said it too, like that you'd go in there and you'd see a guy that would probably go out there and wrestle for 3 minutes and get squashed on TV. You'd go out there and wrestle about a good 15, 20 minutes. You know what I mean? So it was always kind of enjoyable. That's how I discovered how some of these guys were actually really great wrestlers as opposed to them just getting the shit kicked out of them by Duggan or whoever on a Saturday morning. Excuse me. So New Day to SmackDown.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of like they switch every year. It seems like between them. Yeah. So they're going to bring up something else about somebody else that switches every year as well. By when we finish this, Rhea Ripley and Nikki Cross, Nikki Ash, Nikki almost a superhero, staying on Raw and SmackDown.
But they still get to jump shows because they got the WWE
women's titles. Yep. Yeah, they go wherever they want. Well, sort of. Actually, when was the last time those titles got defended in NXT? Probably when Asuka and what's her face did
Since that time when they brought in the NXT Women's Tag Team titles with that little screw job they did the whole time with that tournament.
It was a long time ago because that title was supposed to be defended in all 3 brands, if you remember when they announced it. But and I don't think that it was defended more than maybe 2-3 times. But, Happy Corbin, gotta roll my eyes for this one, and Madcap Moss are staying on SmackDown.
We're gonna move on.
Yeah, we're gonna move on. I got no comments about that. For Raw, Keith Lee is staying on Raw.
Keith Bearcat Lee. That was Bearcat Lee.
I just can't stop.
Which I stand corrected last week. He's doing a special tribute to really the first ever Black World Champion.
Is that Bearcat right?
Yes.
Correct? Yes. Yeah. I think 2022, excuse me, may be Keith Lee's year if he can stay healthy. Because he's had a rough 2021 with his with health and such. So we could see him as a WWE champion, I think. Of course, but he's actually one of my very favorite wrestlers in WWE currently.
I mean, they had to change his hit. They had to give him some type of gimmick. which is bare. So hopefully they take him seriously.
I hope so, because when he came up to Raw and they changed his whole persona, it kind of hurt him big time, because it's such a great run in NXT. He really did.
Yep.
And we talked about this earlier. Hit Row to SmackDown. I got nothing really to say about this one. Anything?
I mean, it depends. They on SmackDown, they was doing stuff on their terms, how they was doing on NXT. I take that back. NXT, the original NXT. Now the NXT 2.0 and them, Bruce Pritchard and this man got their fingerprints on it. Now they gonna be on SmackDown. So hopefully they're used well. Hopefully. Not. I just think in Vince McMahon mind, basically, what is Hit Row to him? Do he even know what that gimmick is about?
Vince?
Obviously, but do Vince really know what it's about?
I don't know. I think he's just old and outdated. I mean, not old and outdated. He just doesn't understand, certain things. And that's the reason why the product suffers a lot. You know what I mean? That's a real reason why the product ends up suffering, is because he doesn't understand modern times in a way, and certain modern things these days. So Rey and Dominic Mysterio moving to Monday Night Raw. Either way, I'm not really bothered by this. Either way, it's not that I don't like Rey. Rey's probably one of the greatest luchadors of all time. It's like he's actually gone above the luchador status. He's just one of them, probably, if that makes sense. But he's gone above that as to being like a really big mainstream star on top of it.
Future Hall of Famer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I think he's first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, there's no doubt that as soon as his name gets brought up. This whole thing with Dominic, I don't really care. Like, either way, I'm not saying that, he's just kind of there these days. You know what I mean? It's just he's there to help his son get in the door, push him, put him over in a way, and still stay on the way. But not to say it, I'm saying like
he's made, or is it, it's one of those deals that he probably made with when he resigned. Take care of his son and certain advertisements that's under him.
And I'm not saying his son does have potential. He's just very green at this point. He could, if he puts in the work and he seems like he wants to, he could have a very bright future as well.
Absolutely.
And Naomi to SmackDown. I didn't even realize she was still on the main roster. It had been a while. It's been a while, dude. I'm telling you. Some of these names that they pull out of the hat, it's like, wait, they're still there?
Yeah, they're still there, dude. They still there. They are still there. Unfortunately, they're still there. She got injured. I know she was injured once upon a time, and then all of a sudden she came back recently, was on Raw, and then she got shipped to SmackDown before the draft even happened. So they're just doing new rules as they go.
Somebody will get injured, then they'll pop up on the next brand.
Yeah,
kind of like Becky Lynch going out when she's pregnant and then coming back on a different brand altogether because she does what she wants.
Yeah.
This one, a return to Monday Night Raw. Austin Theory got drafted too.
Yes.
This dude's awesome. He's really, really freaking good. I think he's good. I don't know. I think that's good for. I mean, how's he going to do in Monday Night Raw?
Depends on how Raw use him. Raw is Raw, so they using Damian Priest well, so I give him that. But
but Damian Priest is not like he's a big dude, even you know what I mean. But he's also a big dude that can move. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like that dude could work. Austin Theory he's a pretty small guy, dude. So you don't see a lot of guys like that. He had a really good run during the pandemic on Monday Night Raw. That he did.
Yeah, he had a WrestleMania. He had a WrestleMania match.
Yeah, he did.
He had a WrestleMania match.
So I'm sure he's happy. He collects a paycheck every week. So he outlasted the pandemic, I guess. And
there we go.
A lot of superstars didn't. Yeah. And Jeff Hardy to SmackDown. I don't care. There's another one I don't necessarily care. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's like I just don't care.
Hopefully him going to SmackDown. I don't want to say they'll give him a title run, but at least it give him another opportunity because he was always better on SmackDown anyway. He was one of
Right.
the people just like Edge that was good on SmackDown instead of being on Raw. So hopefully it works out for him because his run on Raw recently has been real bad. Between him
Yeah.
chasing the 24/7 championship, him getting
Yeah, that was
beat
weird.
seconds, all that stuff.
And I'm not saying he's a bad wrestler. It's just his style I'm not necessarily a fan of. Like it's like he tries to get injured in a way. You know what I mean? Maybe subconsciously, maybe he does, but he goes for some moves that they're just some of these moves that you see people do that they're just gonna break their neck on. It's just he's one of those guys. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know. Either way. And here's another one. I put him in the same character as like a Mysterio guy. He's like just stale in a way, but but I guess WWE needs guys like this on the roster. You know what I mean? Certain guys like this, they're gonna help the younger talent they're trying to make stars. So I get it. There's nothing. I don't really think he has much to add as far as like wrestling. Like actually, if I don't think I'm putting it right, so I'm gonna just leave it there. I don't think he has much to add as far as like putting on like a 5-star match. Basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you know what I mean? He's gonna go there. He's gonna help people get over. So that's pretty much it. That's the part 1, night 1 of the draft. Night 2 will be tomorrow night. Tonight, we should say Monday. On Monday Night Raw.
The second half of the draft, and then SmackDown had a few golden nuggets in it. It was Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair for the WrestleMania rematch.
Yeah.
It was a real solid match.
Yeah.
And then continuation of Roman Reigns and the Brock Lesnar saga with Roman Reigns sending Paul Heyman to Raw to make sure that the Usos stay on SmackDown. And if not, they want him to leave him dead at Raw.
Brock also stated that he will go wherever he wants, whenever he wants. So we could see him on Raw or SmackDown.
Yes, exactly.
So that'll be fun. So if he shows up and he wrestles Big E on a Monday night, I mean, who else really would? I don't see him. I don't ever see him not in a title picture. You know what I mean? I don't really see him doing much outside of title. I mean, it's been a while at least, but So I just see him going in, taking titles, and then walking out. You don't really get a chance to see him wrestle anybody that's not a title is not involved that often.
Exactly.
Him and Lashley would probably be a great match, though. I think it would be a really good match.
I would enjoy it.
I'd like to see that. Now that you put that in my head. But he can go to Raw or SmackDown. He can do whatever the hell he wants, he says. So, whatever. Lesnar. He's Brock Lesnar. He does what he wants. I mean, I love Brock. I really do. It's funny because
Mike, he could talk.
Yeah. The funny thing is, like, he had a person speaking for him for years, and he never spoke. But when he does, you actually find out it's all just he can. You know what I mean?
And it's funny.
And it's part of the gimmick. I think he's great, though. I think he's great, and I'd love to see him on top again and just going in there squashing everybody and bringing everybody to Suplex City. Basically,
there we go.
It's enjoyable. It's fun.
So. About an hour.
That's right. So, that's pretty much that. So, what else you got? Anything else that you'd like to speak about today?
Oh,
trying to think if I'm missing anything. Oh shit, that's right.
Dynamite.
AEW. I did not watch the whole episode.
Guevara won the TNT Championship.
Which I got to say, that match was freaking hot, dude. That was really great match. I really honestly thought it was going to be a clash of styles going in, and it would not have been well delivered. But the two styles, they worked together, dude, like really, really well. I thought it was awesome.
Miro had no bullcrap. Miro had proved that he could hang with the best of them, and for him to come from WWE on some restricted and limited things, and for him to come here and reinvent his whole career is the best in his career and AEW as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of like I said, I didn't get a chance to watch the entire episode. I did watch the main event. So what else happened there?
Well, continuing saga of the Daniel Bryan, Kenny Omega. So they're trying to have a rematch, and then we segued to Rampage. It was Daniel Bryan versus, take that back, don't sue me, Bryan Danielson.
Wow, dude, you're not allowed to use that.
Nick Jackson. I'm not allowed to use that. We go bleep. Versus Nick Jackson, which was real good as well on Rampage.
That's I like I said before we spoke, my Friday night was crazy, so I did not get to watch any wrestling, and Saturday was even crazier, doing family stuff. So I really have to go back and watch the Jackson and Danielson match. You called him Daniel Bryan throughout the whole, even before we got on there. I don't think you said Danielson. Probably. It's all right. Dude, when you get used to calling somebody by that name for 10 years, it's kind of hard to.
It's so hard, dude.
Right.
It's so hard.
I barely ever called him Brian or Daniel Bryan either, because I always thought it was stupid.
It was so crazy because when he came to WWE, I knew him as Bryan Danielson. I was like, yo, that's
me too. Did you ever see him on? Did you ever see when he wrestled on Velocity as Bryan Danielson, like as a jobber?
Yeah.
I remember watching him on there, and it's just like, why is he not signed here? Literally, why is he not signed here? Like, even at that time, he was probably the biggest indie wrestler in the world at that time period. And I just remember him going on there and having a great, like, for what they put him through on that show for 5-minute squash match or whatever. I wouldn't call it a squash match because he didn't get squashed, but you go out there and have a fucking technical masterpiece, even for like as a jobber for 5 minutes. So that's how great this guy is. One of the best in the world, literally.
Listen, Bryan Danielson is real good, and he's coming out to a whole new world, what he was used to before. So we look this. Trust me, we're gonna see a lot of classics out of him.
I think so. And if these two, like, we're talking about the him in a rematch with Kenny Omega, I want to see. And I think we might have spoken this afterwards, that we knew that the episodes weren't over. The feud wasn't over. I want to see those two in a 60-minute Iron Man match. Literally.
No, absolutely. And you know what, though? And I was hearing this earlier today because I watched so much stuff. So basically, Bryan Danielson is the Okada in the domestics to Kenny Omega now. So you might as well just get ready for the classics that we're going to enjoy. So we always wanted Okada versus Omega all this time, but now we're about to get it with Bryan Danielson versus Omega.
Wow. That's a great analogy. Wow. That's I never thought about saying that, dude. That's a guy I'd love to see. I mean, I've seen him here in the United States when New Japan came to the United States, like in the G1 was in Texas, I think it was at one point. Was that? Yep. I want to see him come to AEW, Okada. I'd love to see him come in and wrestle at least a couple matches, you know what I mean? And they've been bringing in everybody in. Okada at one time, and he probably still is their freaking biggest star, right? At one time. So,
and I remember seeing him, and I seen Okada versus Slingblade and Switchblade.
Switchblade, Jay White. Yep.
Yeah, what I'm doing. I know the guy name. I like his work, and I forget his name just that quick. Anyway, I seen them live at the MSG show for ROH.
Oh, really?
And it was real good. Classic that night. And
I
look forward to seeing both of them, Jay White and Okada. They need to come to AEW.
Jay White, absolutely 100%. I think Jay White needs to come to the US.
Yes.
I think, am I wrong in saying that he was supposed to wrestle in Impact or something?
He did wrestle Impact.
Somewhat recently, right?
Yeah, he did.
Okay. So, all right. So I know I'm not going crazy.
And he made a cameo. He made a cameo at Daily Space too for AEW. It wasn't under AEW. Right. It was actually pay-per-view Impact.
Yep. Okay. So I'm not going crazy. You're right. I remember that too. No. I have a Jay White shirt sitting upstairs. I have yet to wear. I've had it for about 6 months, and I haven't pulled it out of my bag. Every time I wear it, it's one of those things like, you're wearing that today? That's scary. You're going to be around kids. So it's got a nice deformed skull on it and stuff. So anyways, I'd like to see Jay White come to AEW as well. I think that'd be good, especially with I like them coming in and bringing in Japanese guys, or guys, not Japanese guys, but guys that are popular in New Japan Pro Wrestling, because it's just it adds something extra, man. It's just, and it's adding those dream match segments to those shows.
Whenever this pandemic is over, trust me, we'll probably see Tanahashi and all these guys come in, do some classics.
I want to see Kota Ibushi come in. That's one guy I'd love to see come in. He wrestled in the WWE Cruiserweight Classic.
Yes, he did.
So which I didn't know because I watched that like a year after it actually happened.
Did you?
I swear to God.
I watched the whole tournament, man. That whole tournament was great. Zack Sabre Jr. was in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the names that were actually in there, I was like, damn, why didn't I watch this when it aired? And
I don't even know how Triple H got away with it. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. He had all the stars on there.
All these different stars from different companies. And he did the same thing with the Mae Young Classic as well. You know what I mean? With all those the stars coming in. It's amazing, whatever he did. But I think that he's really a guy that like he really cares about professional wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like his father-in-law cares about the sports entertainment factor and how much money he's going to get. I think Triple H cares about good wrestling. Yes.
I forgot. So, since we've been talking about this new NXT 2.0, you think they're going to let go the War Games name and give it to AEW or what?
That is an excellent question. I have no clue. Because, and if I remember correctly, it was last week me and you were speaking about stuff. And you said most likely they're not going to be doing any big shows or pay-per-views. Which means most likely they're not going to be having any television specials that are supposed to be built up the same way that, like, you know, pay-per-view quality television specials. You know, every year they do the Halloween Havoc or the War Games or whatever on live free TV.
American Bash. Yeah.
Yes. I don't think so, dude. I think they're just are they gonna give it up? Probably not.
Probably not.
Vince and his greedy self, he'll not give it up. If
he never wanted to do War Games anyway. He had the whole library the whole time, and he never wanted to use War Games as a match ever.
He used the
Elimination Chamber as the bootleg of War Games.
Yeah, the bootleg version. Yeah, I mean that was but I mean, he doesn't want to do it because it was invented by Dusty, and it became a staple in the NWA and WCW, which was his meanest competition. And if anybody knows anything, Vince is petty as fuck. So, you know, and he holds a grudge. And some of these guys would not be in the Hall of Fame though either, if he was, because he's very, very petty. It seems, but it's Vince.
Listen, Bruno Sammartino, all these guys are in there because of Triple H.
Well, you're right. That's exactly it. I was going to say
Ultimate Warrior, all of them.
If it wasn't for his son-in-law brokering these deals, listen, he was important. I understand you hate the guy because he held you up for $10,000 or $100,000, Jeff Jarrett.
That he held out from him, which we found out.
Yes, there was money that was owed to him. That's it. So, I mean,
Jeff
what
Jarrett,
happened?
Same way. He said he said his story. He did it because there was money owed to him that he knew that he would not get if he left.
Yeah, which I don't blame him for. You know, it's money that was owed.
I don't blame both of them for doing that. That's what we would do at our regular jobs. If we feel like money's gonna get held up from us, we gotta sit here and be like, listen, we're not doing anything until we get a retro check. Nobody's stupid.
And his contract was actually up already. His contract was expired. He was just making an appearance on a pay-per-view to drop the title like a day after or a couple days after his license or his thing expired, because he was signing with WCW because they had offered him more money.
Yeah. So you are right. He is petty, and he's a petty guy.
Petty.
And it's just certain things he make it like he's a good guy. He make it sometimes like he's the bad guy, like he's a good guy. I take it back. Good guy that then got robbed by a certain superstar.
Right. So Hunter's the one that brokers all those deals. Anybody that comes into the Hall of Fame that you see that is notorious for feuding and talking shit about Vince, it's Hunter that gets them all in.
Yeah.
Bruno of all people. That's it right
Bruno never wanted to be in the Hall of Fame. He always rejected.
He refused for
Oh,
decades, for probably 2 decades, and it was like it was
yes.
one of the. And what kind of Hall of Fame do you have in WWE if your biggest star of your earliest days was not in there? Okay,
Exactly.
the biggest draw, the guy that sold out Madison Square Garden more than anybody, was not in your. The guy, and Bruno Sammartino was a legend. So he deserved to be in that Hall of Fame. He should have been in that Hall. He should have been in the first class of the Hall of Fame, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
So that's that. That's that. So anything else we got going on?
Nah, nothing else going on. We just got another week of wrestling to cover next week. And
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the draft, the continuation of the draft, whatever the hell else happens on AEW, and maybe
next week
get into NXT.
Yeah, maybe NXT, but then we got Sammy Guevara defending TNT Championship against Bobby Fish.
Oh,
fresh from NXT.
Okay, which brings me to Mark's Speak.
There goes the segue.
There you go. That was perfect segue. So I got a message shortly after all that happened. Bobby Fish laid out a tweet, later in the evening after Sammy Guevara.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I give zero fucks about AEW right now. They signed Bobby Fish's old ass. Now, mind you, I looked up Bobby Fish is only 44 years old. A lot of these wrestlers are in their prime around that age.
And they never signed him.
And they never signed him. He's coming in for a one-off deal. What happened to pushing the young guys? Fuck that company. At least MLW has better wrestlers. They don't give a billionaire... Hold on. They don't have a billionaire running it, but it's about how many guys you could sign. It's about putting on a good show. Dynamite has one good match, and it was a woman's match. End. So, Mr. Person, you're an idiot. Bobby Fish is coming on, and I gotta be honest with you. Bobby Fish, first off, he's a New England guy, and he is a great New England talent over here that we've witnessed for many, many years growing up. So congratulations, Bobby Fish, for making it to NXT and working your ass off for a few years there. And now you signed with MLW. You signed with MLW, actually, I believe, correct? Was that the rumor?
I didn't hear nothing about that, but I know he's supposed to be making an appearance.
Supposed to be making some appearances in MLW, but he's also supposed to be making an appearance in AEW. I thought he signed with MLW, and then he's making an appearance in AEW to face Sammy Guevara, which I'm going to tell you that's not going to be some old ass person moving around that ring. That is going to be a fantastic match. I'm calling it right now. And what's your comments? What do you think?
It's just always these guys that sit here and trash AEW or trash whatever company that they want to trash. All I have to say is, as a fan, just enjoy the wrestling business. It's really hot right now. Doesn't matter what promotion it is. Just love it for what it is. It's professional wrestling. That's all I have to say.
No, and you're 100% correct. I mean, it's fun to say things that we don't enjoy about professional wrestling. We don't, we don't continuously watch WWE or say that it's fantastic. Neither of us do.
WWE has its moments.
It does.
I watched WWE for years and years upon years. I have stopped a few times for a few months and came back and watched bullet points here and there. But I still watch the product because I grew up on the product. I like the product. Now, AEW is, to me, a very good company that was just like WCW, but they're doing the right things to build on that 2-year, their 2-year reign that they've been going on, and they continue to grow. Their anniversary show is this Wednesday. So basically, the growth just keep on coming, and it's good for the business. It doesn't matter if you don't like the product. I understand that. I respect it. But for you to sit there and keep on saying, "Oh, well, they're gonna be dead in 2 days," or they're running out of business, or WWE's gonna be running out of business. WWE ain't going out of business ever. They got multi-million deals, TV deals, overseas deals, all type of deals possible. They ain't going nowhere. They in public stock.
Yes.
Same way AEW, they ain't going nowhere. They got new contracts with. They gave him another show on a Friday.
Yeah. And there's
Like, come on.
and not to mention one of their top executives has their own freaking reality show. And
Exactly.
and it's not to mention that there's probably more than likely going to be another show added at some point. You know what I mean? There's also rumors in another 2-hour program. This is a company that has, and it has grown in the 3 or 4 years in its existence.
Mm-hmm.
It's grown, and it's not about them signing as many guys as they can. No, it's about signing the top quality free agents out there, bring them here, put on top quality matches, put on just a really good product. I'd love to see Bobby Fish and Sammy Guevara. Bobby Fish is Sammy Guevara is in his early 20s. So what? Bobby Fish got a few years on him. It's going to be a good fucking match. That's it.
And they building all their young stars, just like MJF had the promo this Wednesday. They got
Yeah.
the 4 pillars. It's Jungle Boy, him, Sammy Guevara, and I forgot who the 4th one was. See, I lost my mind. I forgot who the 4th one is. But the 4 pillars of the future of AEW. So those are the future, and they're not forgetting about it.
One guy that I think has kind of not been seen as much as Joey Janella. It seems like he's gone downhill to the AEW Dark for the majority, or Dark Elevation, and feuding with Sonny Kiss on there. Oh God. Anyways, it's a storyline I don't care about, but I like Joey Janela. I think he's a really good talent. He does some crazy things sometimes. I don't necessarily, I'm not a deathmatch guy or anything, but he's been into that stuff before. But I think he's actually a really good wrestler. He could really do some really good matches. Put on some really good matches. So, but they only use him as like kind of like a mid card guy, or stuff like that. But that's okay. But you can't push everybody. You can't push everybody.
You can't. But then you gotta understand too. I hate to say it. When they first started this company, they was signing anyone and everyone. And certain times you gotta understand, certain millionaires have buyer's remorse. I hate to say it.
No, man. I mean, there's certain guys that they've let go because that probably same reason. You know what I mean? Certain guys have gotten themselves in trouble in the public. Jimmy Havoc or whatever his name was. So shit happens, man. You can't win every time.
Sure can't.
Nope. All right, well, we're going to hit the road. So don't forget to check us out. By the way, I want to mention to everybody, I ordered a shit ton of buttons. I'm having buttons made. Pins, whatever you call them. If anybody wants one, you can go ahead and email me. Email will be in the description. I'm going to give some to Marcel as well. Just pass them out at shows. You can get your official PWZ button. DM me your address if you want. They're gonna come in a few days. So basically, where could we? Support us.
Get those pins, man. Get those pins. If we get shirts available, we'll do that. Whatever is possible for the support.
We do have shirts. You can order them from a third-party printer. That description is always in the episodes. Please go by and wear your PWZ shirt to a show. Snap a picture and send it in. Marcel, where can you be found?
I could be found obviously at Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. I will be at the Big Jim Tribute Memorial Show this Friday. I will be at the Taco Fest, I think, in Maine on. I gotta get my dates together. It's somewhere in October. I'll get together for next week, but somewhere in October. Then we got Elm City Showdown, which is October 16th. Then I got Shove and Wrestle on October 30th. I'm going for the
That's your chance for the title. You're gonna come.
Yeah.
So if you come with the title, you're gonna come on air with the title.
I'll show the title. I'm trying to get some type of title somewhere. I'm trying to get some title. I've been on bad luck lately. You know what I'm saying? And then sooner or later, I'm gonna address the Vlad situation, which everybody keep on asking me about. So
we're gonna have to do a whole episode on that. Actually, there's a huge. I did make a video. I'm not sure if you saw that. That the address that a brief history. But the situation is not over, so I'm gonna have to eventually add to that and make a part 2.
Indeed. But continue to enjoy our content that we put out, and we enjoy you watching us. And Rick Del Santos is going to send us home.
Thank you, everybody. Don't forget to check us out on any form of social media. We are everywhere. And like, share, subscribe. Tell your family, friends, and pets about us. And goodbye, everybody.
Be well, be safe.